The situation near Kostyantynivka and in the city itself is tense. The Russians are trying not only to gain a foothold in the urban area, but also to break through into our rear in small groups. At the same time, the enemy is launching massive missile and bomb strikes on Druzhkivka, which is adjacent to Kostyantynivka. Find out more about how the city is living and how the fighters of the 93rd Brigade Kholodny Yar are defending it in the following report. And at the same time, support the fundraiser for charging stations for the Kholodny Yar fighters. The payment details will be shown on your screens.
The smoke from constant fires in the now frontline town of Druzhkivka almost never disappears. The town is at least 15 kilometers from the front line, but for enemy attacks, that's not such a great distance. Every day, about a dozen guided aerial bombs and countless drones reach here. These are the consequences of a Russian airstrike on Druzhkivka. These attacks happen every day, and as you can clearly see right now, the enemy forces are currently turning what previously seemed to be a peaceful and quiet rear city into this devastating scene of total destruction. This building was hit by the shockwave after 3 cabs struck it at once, but it was finished off by the scorching hot shrapnel that flew under the roof. People are relieved that at least none of the residents were injured during the shelling. At the same time, they fear that the fire could spread to neighboring homes. Rescuers came out twice in response to the call. Because of the overwhelming presence of Russian drones, they were forced to halt their work. The guys hid right under the cart here and then still went out to extinguish the fire. They kept putting out the fire. They fought the fire. I saw it myself. The firefighters kept putting it out and then left. They finally left just recently. In order to cut off the logistics of the defenders in neighboring Kostyantynivka, the enemy is trying to bring all the local roads under the control of their attack drones. UAVs are attacking both military and civilian vehicles. We witness a devastating Russian FPV drone deliberately striking a parked civilian ambulance right in the busy city center area.
Look, damn it, it's circling around. See? It's hesitating, I think.
No, it's attacking. It's attacking. Yes, it's attacking. A yellow vehicle. Under such conditions, it's getting harder for our defenders to protect the Kostyantynivka-Druzhkivka area. It's not even light outside yet, but Alexei and his comrade are already preparing for a combat mission. They'll be guarding the firing position of the Grad launcher of the 93rd Brigade Kholodny Yar from enemy drones. Small arms are the most effective tool in their work.
5-round magazine. We've managed to fit 6 rounds in here. And in our old one, let me say, there are more than 10 shot down.
The moments just before dawn are the best time both for moving and for combat operations. There aren't too many drones yet, so without wasting any time, the launcher moves into the firing position, and the crew immediately gets to work. The first shots are usually for ranging.
Sight set to 690, show me the compass.
The lampeter has fallen.
If the target remains completely stationary, then all of the necessary preparations are fully complete. If the shots land precisely, then during live fire you can shoot as many as needed, right away. If the target is moving, we fire in bursts of 3.
While the crew's working, Alexei and his comrades keep a close watch on the sky. From their own experience, the soldiers know where the Russian drones will attack from.
There is some cover over there. The tree line is well protected from the flank. If they come in, they'll come in from this side, from the open area.
The entire crew's work takes no more than 20 minutes. Staying in one place any longer is dangerous. Already in the shelter, the artillerymen immediately reload the launcher. The guys have plenty of work to do in the Kostyantynivka direction.
And after that? Yes.
Well, same. The flip-flops were flapping, right? That would certainly be a wonderful thing. Every day we work through a package, sometimes 1.5. Well, for now, unfortunately, that's how it is. But everything is going well right now. Everyone remains incredibly strong and healthy, and we know for certain that the final victory will be ours as we continue to beat back the cruel occupier. They will continue to fight with everything they have, because the ruthless enemy simply leaves our people with no other choice but to stand their ground and defend their home.
The Russian army threw its best forces at Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, but instead of a lightning breakthrough, it ended up in a bloody meat grinder. A high-ranking Ukrainian general has stated quite explicitly, if the defense forces can successfully maintain their defensive positions until the spring, the Russian army will be exhausted both physically and morally, which means the Kremlin's strategic plans to seize the Donbas region could finally face a total collapse.
And now, more details in our report. You are watching The Glavrad Show. I'm your host, Yevhen Serov. Like and subscribe to the channel.
The Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration in Donetsk region is currently one of the key targets of the Russian offensive. It's here that Russia has concentrated its largest and most combat-ready group of troops. The Kremlin placed a strategic bet on this section of the front, hoping to quickly break through the Ukrainian defenses and secure a significant political and military trophy. Moreover, as early as the end of last year, Russian propaganda hastily announced the complete occupation of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. However, the reality turned out to be completely different. These statements remained nothing more than an informational bluff, unconfirmed on the battlefield. Back at the end of the summer of 2024, Russian army units did indeed approach the outskirts of these cities. The situation looked extremely dangerous, but Ukraine quickly redeployed reserves, strengthened its defenses, and stabilized the front, thwarting the scenario of a rapid fall of the agglomeration. Intense, relentless, and extremely fierce fighting in this specific direction has been continuing without interruption for a year and a half already. The absolute peak of strategic tension came at the beginning of autumn 2025, when Russian troops managed to break through the Ukrainian defenses in the south of the agglomeration and begin to penetrate into residential neighborhoods. It was at that moment that the Kremlin decided that victory was near. At the end of October, Russian authorities claimed to have supposedly completed the encirclement of Ukrainian forces in Krasnoarmysk and Dimitrov, names that Moscow still uses for Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, relying on Soviet-era toponyms. On December 1st, the Kremlin announced the capture of Pokrovsk, and right before New Year's, it declared full control over Mirnograd. But Ukraine categorically denied these claims. The military and political leadership emphasizes that certain areas of both cities remain under the control of the defense forces. There is no question of any encirclement or complete capture of the agglomeration. This position is also confirmed by OSINT analysts. They point to the lack of reliable evidence that Russia has full control over Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. Yes, part of the urban area has long since turned into a so-called gray zone, where the front line is unstable, but the Russian army does not have stable dominance there. Given the gravity of this current situation, the main question is exceptionally difficult. How much longer can Ukraine continue to hold out against Russia's pressure in this sector? Does the Ukrainian armed forces have enough strength, reserves, and resources to continue the exhausting urban battles? The answer to this question is given by Brigadier General Yevhen Losiachuk, commander of the 7th Rapid Response Corps of the Ukrainian Air Assault Forces, who has been responsible for the defense of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd since the summer of 2025. In an interview with BBC News Ukraine, the general states directly, the key objective is to hold out until spring. According to his calculations, it is by this time that the Russian army should face a critical depletion of both personnel and equipment. The pace of the offensive will inevitably slow down. However, for now, the enemy is, on the contrary, trying to increase the pressure. As of today, Ukraine's defense forces have full control over the northern part of Pokrovsk and the north of Mirnograd. In Pokrovsk, the enemy is acting more aggressively. They're trying to push through the defenses to the northwest, aiming to reach the settlement of Grushini. According to Losyachuk, this specific direction is currently the primary strategic objective for the Russian forces. Certain enemy units are attempting to maneuver stealthily between Ukrainian combat positions in the northern part of the city, moving well beyond its limits. But these attempts are strictly localized in their overall nature and do not lead to any significant or enduring tactical results.